Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission is to take all that source material, the dense research, the breaking news, the analyst reports, and distill it into the crucial knowledge you need right now. And today, we're unpacking a stack of sources that, well, they don't just suggest a shift, they really confirm a critical, irreversible change.
Yeah, that's the word for it, irreversible.
AI has moved definitively from the experimental phase to becoming a fundamental, inescapable layer of global operations.
It has absolutely crossed the chasm, and the speed is what's just staggering. I mean, you see this perfectly encapsulated when Time magazine named the architects of artificial intelligence as a person of the year 2025.
Right, figures like Jensen Huang, Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis.
Exactly. That collective recognition, it highlights that we are no longer talking about some tech trend. We're talking about the architects of our immediate future.
And the analysis in Time was pretty stark. It noted that the huge, sometimes paralyzing debate about responsible use, it's like kind of giving way to a sprint to deploy it as fast as possible.
All gas, no brakes. That's the quote that you got.
All gas, no brakes. And analysts agree, saying the adoption rate for AI is, much faster than during the internet or mobile revolutions?
Much faster because it's happening all at once. Software, hardware, core services. There's no slow ramp up. It's just exponential.
So that sets the stage for our deep dive. We have to analyze two conflicting forces this week. First, the evidence of this massive enterprise deployment.
How finance, law, retail are all in.
Exactly. But we can't ignore the consequences of that speed. So secondly, we have to dive into the complex trust challenges, from deepfakes in politics to the backlash against AI-generated creative work.
It's the inevitable result of moving this fast.
So if 2024 was about, cautiously dipping toes in the water, running small proofs of concept, our sources show 2025 is about massive scale deployment. And you see it most clearly in most risk-averse sectors first.
Which means global finance. I mean, the commitment at BNY is just astonishing. We're talking about a financial giant managing, $57.8 trillion in assets. And they have gone all in. They have 20,000 employees building AI agents.
20,000 employees building AI agents internally. Why that choice? Why build instead of just buying off-the-shelf tools?
Well, it comes down to control and specialization. For a firm dealing with that much money, data sensitivity is everything. They need models trained specifically on their own data.
And their own governance frameworks, I assume?
That's the key. And it's fascinating. BNY says their success in scaling is because of good governance. They define it not as a hurdle, but as an enabler.
That's completely counterintuitive. You'd think governance, rules, that would just slow everything down.
Exactly. But they're using existing risk frameworks and just applying them to AI outputs. It lets them move fast because they're confident in their guardrails.
So that's the how, but what's the payoff? What's the result?
The results are tangible. Take their contract review assistant. It's reduced legal review time for vendor agreements by 75%.
75%.
Yep. From 4 hours down to just 1.
Yeah.
Now, you scale that across thousands of agreements, and the financial impact is monumental. It changes the job, The employee isn't just a document reviewer anymore. They're a strategic analyst.
That saving connects right into professional services, which have historically been all about billing hours, not saving them. So now the consulting world is embedding AI deep into its operations. Look at that partnership between Anthropic and Accenture.
It's a huge multi-year deal. It includes training 30,000 Accenture employees on Claude.
And this is happening right as Anthropic has really solidified its position, right? They have, 40% of the enterprise AI market now?
Up from 32% just earlier this year. And you have to ask why Anthropic. They've positioned themselves as the most security and safety conscious player, which really resonates with those big risk-averse clients.
Banks, consulting firms, anyone who prioritizes compliance.
Exactly.
And this efficiency is just pouring into other sectors. I mean, law firms are reporting huge time savings. Quinn Emanuel, for instance. They had to digest over 70,000 documents for a trial.
In under 2 months. An impossible task for humans alone.
Right. So they used AI.
They did. To identify key documents, build chronologies, refine arguments, and that speed. It led directly to a trial win. Some partners reported saving over 500 hours on individual cases.
500 hours? That's like 3 months of full-time work for one person.
It is. So those hours aren't just saving money. They're giving attorneys time to focus on strategy, on jury selection, the human parts of the case.
It's the definition of augmentation. not replacement.
And it's a massive economic factor. Projections suggest AI could save legal professionals around 240 hours per year per worker across all knowledge sectors. That could be, what, a $20 billion impact?
Now let's look at retail, because this is where we get a really interesting finding on the consumer side. Moonpig, the greeting card company.
Yeah, it's almost ironic, isn't it? A physical goods company leveraging AI so well.
They reported a 6.7% sales increase, and they directly credit AI for that success.
And the depth of that integration is what's critical. Just 2 years ago, only 2% of their purchases involved any AI personalization.
And today?
Today, it's half, 50% of all purchases. The AI suggests designs, helps write the message. It just removes the friction.
And then there's the customer service side. Their AI chat system now resolves a third of all queries.
And here's the kicker. It gets higher satisfaction ratings than the human interactions did.
Wow. So that just dispels the myth that AI service is always worse service.
It really does. And it comes back to how you measure this stuff. Virgin Atlantic CFO had some practical advice. Focus on outcomes, not the tech. Track the small time saving.
Like on software development cycles or an HR policy GPT?
Exactly. If you can show a 2-hour saving on a task 10,000 people do every month, well, the math takes care of itself.
Okay, so that speed and success in finance and retail is incredible, but for every successful Moonpig story, there's a new crisis emerging. Content, accountability. This is where the tension really shows.
It is. When you move this fast, things inevitably break. Or, more accurately, they hallucinate.
And that risk played out?
Oh.
Well, tragically, in the very same legal sector we were just praising.
Lawyers rushing to meet deadlines have actually been sanctioned by judges for submitting briefs with fictitious legal citations.
Citations just made up entirely by the AI.
Completely fabricated. We even had a lawyer for Anthropic, of all companies, admit they'd used an incorrect footnote from an AI tool.
The cost of that kind of mistake is immediate. Reputational damage, losing the case, any time saved is just instantly erased by the cleanup.
Precisely. And this risk has forced law firms to immediately build back that human oversight. They're assigning human verifiers to check every single AI output.
So the machine can draft it.
But the human must still verify reality, especially in high-stakes fields where accuracy is legally binding. It's non-negotiable.
So that's the accuracy problem.
Yeah.
But in the creative world, the problem is something else entirely. It's about consumer rejection. We're seeing this trust deficit driven by the uncanny valley.
Right. McDonald's Netherlands is a perfect example. They pulled a 45-second AI Christmas ad after only 3 days. The backlash was huge.
And what was the criticism?
It was two things. First, the visuals were just creepy, that slightly off, unnatural look. But there were also deep concerns about job displacement.
And technically, the ad itself was flawed, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a technical limitation. They had to stitch together thousands of really short, like 6 to 10 second AI video clips. It created this jarring, disjointed feel that audiences just immediately clocked as fake, and they rejected it.
But what's so interesting is that it's not a universal rejection of the tech.
Yeah.
Look at Coca-Cola.
Right. Their second AI Christmas ad in a row reportedly got a 61% positive sentiment rating.
So it's inconsistent. It seems to depend heavily on the execution and on whether the audience feels like they're being tricked.
Yeah, or if they're just watching a new stylized form of art. It's a fine line.
And this trust deficit, it's not just in ads. It's now crossing into governance, into, verified reality. We saw a really worrying case in the UK.
In Gloucester, right, where an independent counselor defended creating an AI deepfake video of the mayor.
He openly admitted to it, to highlight concerns about council finances.
That's an explicit use of synthetic media to make a political point. Knowingly using deception, it's prompted calls for a formal investigation, but the boundaries here are just non-existent right now.
And you see the same tension enhancement versus replacement playing out dramatically in education.
It's fascinating. Some schools are trialing deepfake videos of teachers giving personalized feedback. They see it as an efficient tutoring tool, but at the same time, other schools are using remote math teachers from 300 miles away who are basically AI-augmented instructors.
And that cost-saving measure immediately sparked teacher strikes and union opposition.
Of course, it raises that core question. When is tech genuinely supporting human talent, and when is it just a tactic to cut costs? The answer seems to determine whether people embrace it or fight it.
Okay, let's shift focus to the infrastructure and the policy war room. All this massive deployment we've been talking about is only possible because the major tech players are locked in this intense, costly AI arms race.
Oh, it's an absolute arms race. The model iteration rate is just unbelievable. OpenAI just launched GPT 5.2.
And what's the claim this time?
Significant improvements for professional knowledge work. They're saying the model outperforms professionals on over 70% of highly specialized tasks.
And crucial.
A 30% reduction in hallucinations compared to the last version. They are hyper aware of that legal risk we just talked about.
So they're trying to fix the accuracy problem.
Yeah.
And Google's counter was immediate.
Instant. They released their specialized Gemini Deep Research Agent via API.
Okay, so what makes a deep research agent different from standard Gemini?
It's designed specifically to iteratively plan investigations. So instead of just answering a prompt, it plans out a whole series of searches and checks. It reduces the chance of internal contradiction.
And that let it score pretty highly on that research benchmark, right, the HLE?
Yeah, 46.4% on humanities' last exam, which is a very high score for a model's ability to synthesize knowledge across different fields.
What's fascinating here is the physical side of this. You need massive infrastructure to compete. The EU is now fast-tracking a $20 billion initiative for what they're calling AI gigafactories.
And just to be clear, these aren't factories making chips. They are enormous computing facilities designed just for training the next generation of foundational models.
That's a strategic move for sovereignty.
Absolutely. It's about establishing European AI sovereignty so they don't have to rely entirely on the U.S. hyperscalers, AWS, Google, Microsoft for that foundational compute power. This race is algorithmic, geopolitical, and physical all at once.
And speaking of physical, we are entering a totally new hardware frontier. OpenAI is working with Jony Ive, the former Apple designer.
On a new consumer AI device, yeah. The focus is on full context and always-on assistance, and this is key with a major emphasis on privacy.
How are they doing that?
By using custom chips and small local mini models, the idea is to keep all your sensitive context, your conversations, your location on the device itself, to avoid streaming your entire life to the cloud.
It's a direct response to the anxiety people have about carrying a device that's always listening.
Exactly, and the competition is right there with them. Google and Warby Parker are prepping AI-powered smart glasses for a 2026 launch.
Leveraging their Android XR platform and Gemini for multimodal intelligence.
Which just means that AI can process what you hear, what you see through the camera, and what you say all at the same time. It's about moving AI off the phone screen and into the real world.
And finally, this all comes down to the fuel, to the data. The legal challenges around content licensing are hitting a boiling point.
On the positive side, you have Disney and OpenAI striking that landmark $1 billion licensing deal.
$1 billion. For what?
To allow Sora to generate videos featuring over 200 iconic characters. Darth Vader, Mickey Mouse. It provides a hugely important template for responsible, compensated use of IP for AI training.
But on the negative side,
the backlash. The EU has opened a competition investigation into Google. They're looking at whether Google breached rules by using web publisher and YouTube content to train Gemini without proper compensation or clear opt-out options.
It just shows how fast regulation is scrambling to catch up.
So to synthesize this week, the essential tension is now defining the entire market. On one hand, AI integration is clearly irreversible in the enterprise.
You see it with BNY making 20,000 agents, with Moonpig getting 50% consumer adoption.
Exactly. And that shift is backed by massive strategic infrastructure investment like those EU gigafactories.
The consumer trust issues are just as real, and they're mounting. We see it in the public rejection of that McDonald ad and the instability that deepfakes are causing in local politics, even in schools. What this week really confirms is that the technological acceleration is just.
Yeah.
It's moving far faster than our collective readiness, our governance, our ethics, our any ability to verify truth.
We are in a rapid implementation phase and a phase of intense, necessary recalibration all at the same time. The business models are still trying to adapt to the reality of it all.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider this week. What happens when the underlying commercial strategy contradicts the public narrative?
Okay.
Salesforce just made a very significant move. They shifted their AI agent pricing from a per-conversation model back to traditional seat-based licensing.
After customer pushback, right?
After major pushback. Now think about that. Per-conversation pricing encourages replacement. You want fewer conversations, fewer people.
Seat-based pricing is about augmentation.
Exactly. It strongly suggests that despite all the hype about mass replacement and job elimination, enterprises are actually focused on augmenting their existing workforce, just giving every seat AI tools to make them faster. So is this just a temporary pause while they test the tech? Or is it a fundamental realization about the limits of current AI? Is the real story augmentation, not annihilation? Something for you to consider until the next deep dive.